Howdy partners, welcome to Chestnut Ridge, home to handsome horses, sweet nectar, and the perfect site for the 5th season of Survivor, Pioneers vs. Renegades. 20 new faces grace this dusty plains, split up into 2 tribes based on their way of life. Over the next 39 days, they will live and compete together to win immunity challenges, while those who don't will face Tribal Council, where they must vote their own out of the game. Many twists and advantages await these eager folks, but more on that when the time comes. In today's video, you'll meet this eclectic group of Sims and learn about their traits and backstories. They are a ton of fun, so saddle up for a fun little ride. Starting with the Pioneers, also known as the Thunderhawk tribe. This is a group of individuals who are at the top of their fields and the best at what they do. They pave the way for others in science, culture, community, and even mischief. And leading the review for the Pioneers is Dr. Faye Groff, renowned paleontologist who's trying to change Strangerville for the better. Dr. Faye has worked tirelessly for over a decade uncovering the natural history of Strangerville, earning her the title of Lead Field Director. People come and go, but Faye is not afraid to get dirty and put in the work. While she is labeled a pioneer for her contributions to science, she also has some renegade spirit, challenging the town's authority and finagling her materialistic bosses to her will. Faye has an eye for the ladies, but she charms and bros up these men like chess pieces just fine. Being an idealist, Dr. Faye is hell-bent on warning the locals about the money-hungry military who do not have the best of Strangerville in mind.
Like they hunt tigers and pocket your taxes, you dummies.
She can also hold a grudge, so do not get on her bad side because she will fight back. In her own way. Faye is heading on to Survivor, hoping to win some money so she can finally fund her own research independently from her bosses. And she carries plenty of wisdom, physicality, and experience to make it happen. She did not claw her way up just to be buried again. Coming in next is Gianna Ferguson, a gemologist from North Haven with a cunning side hustle. Gianna always had a love for exquisite gems and jewelry, the shinier the better. She will not hesitate to spend hours outdoors just to find the perfect gemstone, for her own collection of course. She's obsessed with having the greatest gemology display. When Gianna's not at her day job, she uses her knowledge and stellar acting skills to put on the best performance as a clairvoyant, telling tales of the future and answering many concerning questions, despite not actually believing in any of that crap. Sure, it's a little shady and unethical, but she has made a fortune with her fortune-telling business, so who's the real winner? Gianna is on the Pioneers tribe for being a masterclass in shady business. Deception is her mantra, and she always knows what to say to steer others to do her bidding. And people naturally confide in her with deep, dark secrets, which she uses to her advantage. With plenty of smarts and outdoor experience as well, Survivor is her playground to further advance her business, and adding to her fortune doesn't sound half bad either. Another lady for the cast, meet Juliet Kenbeldek, a Turkish diva who has headlined the Copperdill Circus since her teenage years. Raised under the big top as the daughter of a clown and an acrobat, Juliet was no stranger to the spotlight. While other kids sought straight A's, she dreamed of fame and flashes. She trained tirelessly over the years, confident that every fall, laugh, and daring leap would bring her closer to stardom. Now, she drives in families and tourists from all over to watch her brilliant performance. Juliet is ambitious and seeks perfection in everything she does. She is naturally hilarious, but being in the spotlight for so long does make her a bit of a diva. She is taking on Survivor now to step onto a worldwide stage and expand her household name. Juliet is super athletic and strives to never lose a challenge. But on the off chance that she gets bogged down by her tribe mates, her humor is her main instrument to get out of any sticky situation. The sky's the limit for Juliet, and she'll reach for it by all means necessary. Oh, this handsome lad is Malik Sarda, a youth shelter owner who takes in troubled youth and helps rebuild their life. Malik grew up with a snobby dad who relentlessly pushed him into studying medicine or law. But being the gifted maker that he is, Malik always preferred to work with his hands. As soon as he was able, Malik left home and moved to Wittenberg, where he found an abandoned construction site, got to work, and built a comfortable home for himself and for anyone coming from a similar background. Despite his upbringing, Malik is a nurturing person, never forcing anybody to talk about their problems, but always offering a listening ear and open arms. He yearns for that physical affection. He has a bit of a temper when dealing with egotistical or argumentative people, but he channels it all into gardening, pottery, fabrication. Whatever he can create with his hands, he will. Malik is taking on Survivor as a pioneer to his community. He has helped many of the youth get back on their feet, and he hopes to inspire more like him and show that you are in control of your own destiny. This well-dressed gentleman is Maxime Akshambo, notorious card shark who has swindled much from the wealthy. Do I root for him? If this guy walks up to you asking to play a game, turn around and walk away, lest you want to lose your whole inheritance. Maxime has made a name for himself in Del Sol Valley, swindling the wealthiest of Sims with simple, effective card tricks. How does he do it? Nobody knows. Maybe it's his innate ability to spy on people and find their weaknesses, or the never-ending confidence he carries with his snooty walk. Being somewhat wealthy himself by taking from others, Maxime lives a lavish, hedonistic lifestyle, indulging in the best gourmet meals and the finest juice. Man loves his money, but he's also not afraid to spend it. Maxime found out about Survivor when his sister would not stop raving about it, and sees it as another opportunity to swindle some secret and money from unfortunate Sims. Will his tribe mates be blinded by his flirtatious charm, or will they finally be able to reverse Uno and beat him at his own game? Hello there, our first ghost in the mainline series. This is Richard Hopper, former top general of the Strangerville forces until his untimely demise. While he was with the living, Richard was a respected family man who is equally married to his beautiful family as he is to his career. He was the fittest, the fastest, the sharpest, and had the best vinyl collection, that old soul. On a mission to neutralize the Mother Plan, Richard sadly lost the battle and was consumed by the Mother herself. After an upgrade in the Netherworld, Richard managed to come back as a ghost. But knowing the organization he worked with his entire career, he refused to be studied and experimented on, therefore turning to a life of solitude underground. Although hailed as a hero for his sacrifice, he grew increasingly jealous and paranoid once another hero of Strangerville befriended the Mother Plan. And after seeing Survivor on his dingy TV, Richard decided it was high time to face the world again, reclaiming his title as the greatest hero ever lived. Richard has plenty of survival skills from his career and life in the bunker, so maybe this is a good practice to polish up those social skills to reintegrate with society once again. Godspeed, General Hopper! You should know this diva's name already, but in case you need a reminder, it's Sandrine Lamore, San Myshuno's #1 art curator. Sandrine was not just born under the radiant Sulani sun, she arrived. Queen never cried. She grew up in a loving, expressive family who holds the belief that many people should not pick their own outfits. When the family moved to San Myshuno, Sandrine saw an open, bleak canvas that will soon be filled with color and vision. The subsequent years were spent painting, sculpting, judging, and mentoring as she left her eccentric fingerprints at every corner of the city. Eventually rising to the rank of art curator, she can tell talent from fraud at the blink of an eye. Despite her high art mystique, Sandrine has a macabre, playful sense of humor. She even keeps voodoo dolls at hand if anybody tries her patience. And when the lights go down, Sandrine transforms into a disco queen. Sandrine sees Survivor not as competition, but a ripe ground for performance art. Strategy is storytelling, deception is theater, and confessionals are monologues that will be quoted till the end of time. Sandrine's not just here to win, she's here to curate the narrative. This little geek is Sherman Lattimore, the youngest rocket scientist at the Oasis Springs Space Center with a ton of heart. Sherman has always believed that his big brain supersedes his appearance. He lives for the extraterrestrial and has built many a rocket from scraps and junk just to be able to spend evenings and nights among the cosmos. His unauthorized space travels was eventually noticed by the local space center, who gave him a job so they can better keep an eye on his voyages, while utilizing his advanced skill set for their research. Sherman can be mistaken for being high maintenance, but that's just how his mind operates. He can spend hours working on a project or practicing a skill, but easily overwhelmed by routine changes and loud noises. Relatable, sir. He's also pretty feeble. His brother has to do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to rocket building. But Sherman has a good heart and believes spacefaring is the future, and wants to contribute to it. He also hopes to complete his alien specimen collection one day, so reality TV is a great way to make a quick buck and represent all the neurodivergents out there. He has plenty of smarts to go around, but he'll need to learn to let people in his little bubble to succeed in this game. Can't have a Wild West season without a certified cowboy. Meet Sonny Broster, champion horse rider and community pillar of Chestnut Ridge. Sunny is an equine trainer and has brought many horses to victory with his vigorous yet gentle training methods. Outside of his job, he works out, gardens, makes homemade nectar, and hangs out at the bar with the locals. You can see why he's a central part of the community. Despite his flirtatious personality, sorry ladies, but Sunny strives for the male gaze. This cowboy is a flaming homo, a horse trainer with a horse. Anyway, he puts his assets to great use every Friday night. Despite not having a phone, Sunny is introduced to reality TV when the locals hosted an off-brand The Challenge spin-off named Elimination Ranch, which his daughter took part in. She was the first boot though. Believing he can definitely do better than his daughter on a reality show, Sunny signed up for Survivor and was placed on the Pioneers tribe for being a highly regarded community member. With his magnetic charisma and having a home court advantage, what's to stop Sunny from taking the reins? Closing us off for the Pioneers is Spanish-Palestinian diva Suhaila Jad, a highly ranked professional tennis player and Survivor superfan. Growing up in the vibrant city of Ciudad Enamorada, Suhaila got the best of all cultures. She started playing tennis at a very young age and has blossomed into a highly respected player in the Sims Women's Tennis Association. When she's not crushing her opponents in leagues, she is sampling the local food and learning new recipes, or staying in shape with various fitness activities. Suhaila is a huge fan of Survivor ever since the first season, and it's been her ultimate dream to compete. She has studied contestants and strategies meticulously, and even plays tribal council music when she trains to get in the mood. She's a natural seducer and will not hesitate to blow kisses, spread rumors, or employ little mischief to get her way in life. With her alluring personality, sporty background, and the brain of a mastermind, Suhaila knows she's the full package and will not leave the Survivor set without being labeled the ultimate icon. And that's the Pioneers! Can these overachievers carry their daily successes into the game of Survivor, or will their egos get in the way of their ambition? Most of all, how will they fare against their rivals? Meet the Renegades! This quirky bunch prefers to march to the beat of their own dreams and shatter society's expectations. Among them are misfits, rebels, free spirits, underdogs, each carving their own path of rebellion. Starting off the Renegades is Angel Barrera, a mysterious programmer from the lush jungles of Selva Dorada. Growing up, Angel has always felt that he's meant to be a wallflower, observing those around him. And after transitioning, he managed to itch out of his shell just a little, but he's still generally skeptical of people, often keeping to himself at parties or venturing out to the Belumesia jungles alone. At least all the Tomb Raider knowledge can be put to use. Angel's immense interest in programming stems from his curiosity for the inner workings of technology. From deconstructing appliances to rewiring his TV, Angel has learned a great deal about programming, repairing, and robotics. But it does mean that he has a more vested interest in electronics than people. Angel applied to reality TV in hopes to win enough money to form his own tech company. He's not the biggest fan of being locked away with a bunch of strangers, but his adventurous spirit calls out to him, and he studied computers and logic puzzles immensely. Surely he can find a way to decipher the human connection, right? Next up is Marceline Annette, who goes by her last name, and she's our first female amputee in the universe. Annette was born with a disorder that caused her leg to be amputated at birth, but her fighting spirit never let that get in the way of being herself and reaching for her goals. Annette adores any physical activity and is currently a para-athlete looking to do it all. Cycling, swimming, track and field, archery, you name it. She really should pick a lane, but her overachieving self insists that she try everything. Her other interests outside of sports include guitar and music in general. The tunes and melodies help make any daunting task a little more bearable. Annette is taking on Survivor as a love letter to her competitive spirit, and she hopes to inspire other disabled individuals the same way she uplifts her teammates to reach their full potential. She's gonna have no issue in the physical department and is willing to take on all the challenges for her tribe. Being an idealist, you can count on her to keep the team morale up. There's no room for shady stuff on Annette's watch. Speaking of shady, this is Dahlia Cross, everybody! Queen of mischief and the ultimate rebel with a fascination for the occult. Dahlia has had a love for gothic clothing and playful pranks ever since she could remember. But being a daughter of a politician, she's never seen eye to eye with their ideals and has been a rebel for most of her life. She's currently a self-employed plopsy seller, making her own occult-inspired crafts, or not so subtly nabbing the real thing when she's on her excursions. After a life of disapproval, Dahlia decided enough is enough, and she moved out to her grandmother's old haunted house in Forgotten Hollow. There's plenty of vampire tomes and cursed dolls to keep her company as she fuels her cult obsession. Dahlia is turning to Survivor because the money would be very nice, and with the KCU expanding its roster of occult sims, she's hoping she can get lucky and maybe meet one that she wouldn't have met otherwise. I think they're just secretly hiding from her. Nonetheless, Dahlia is super confident on who she is, and if there's anything she inherited from her parents, it's her way of debating and talking her way out of any situation. Followed up with a prank though, there's always room for shenanigans on Survivor. Well, Dahlia's gonna be very thrilled to meet Glenn Pearson, a teenage student spellcaster and not your average rancher from Chestnut Ridge. From a young age, Glenn was trained by his father Dante in the ways of tending to crops, livestock, and the ins and outs of the mundane farm life. It was clear that the family ranch would one day be his, but curious Glenn knew he was destined for something greater. This egghead is fascinated by tales of magic and ancient sorcery, which quickly became a source of conflict between him and his father, who dismissed his aspirations as evil, unnatural, and outright harmful for the family. Glenn's determination only deepened, and he snuck away to the magic realm with a school trip excuse to begin his journey as an amateur spellcaster. Despite ongoing tensions at home, Glenn continued to refine his skills in secluded areas of the farm, and gets by with the help of his secret magical clique at school. Being so ahead of the curve, Glenn has often found it difficult to connect with his peers, coming off as socially awkward. But having magic in his life has given him a new sense of purpose. He's now taking that passion to Survivor, hoping to prove to himself that he can trace a path and become the best version of himself. And it'd be nice to escape the weight of the household for a little bit. The next member of the Renegades is Carla Tavagari, a former spy who's looking to live up the thrill one more time. In her prime, infiltrating enemy countries, gathering intel, and evading capture was bread and butter for Carla. She specializes in secrets and is prolific for her quick reflexes, sharp wit, and insane ability to pull off any cover. After retirement, she has settled down in Tartosa, but her restless free spirit is still itching to move. Becoming a party animal in her older years, she spends many a night at the local nightclub, boogieing it down and hogging the DJ station. Relaxation and having fun is her new lifestyle. Carla is going on to Survivor to check another adventure off the bucket list. Sure, it's not as crazy as risking your life 24/7, but some new perspectives and challenges should satisfy some of the adrenaline. Carla is fiercely confident and loyal to those who show her the same courtesy, and she will not back down when challenged. Just be sure to watch your words around her. Some old habits die hard. Coming out of hibernation next is Liliana Keeling, a reclusive art prodigy who is kinda forced into the Survivor experience. Liliana was born with immense creativity and a deep passion for the arts. Being surrounded by all the craft making she needs, this girl has spent majority of her life holed up in her studio bedroom churning out masterpieces, leaving the house maybe twice a year for the Fitchwick Fair, where she does participate in some nectar making to satiate her parents. She has a remote designer job where she earns her living, and her crafts go for amazingly high prices online, so she sees no reason to go outside. After nearly 2 decades of this hermit lifestyle, Liliana's mom decided it was not feasible and secretly applied her daughter to reality TV, and then locked her out of the house so she cannot ditch the opportunity when she was accepted. Against her will, Liliana must now navigate living with strangers in the great outdoors. What could go wrong? Thankfully, minimal social skills means Liliana is calm and collected. She'll let the others do the talking while she fights her greatest battle: allergies. This next cutie is Patwin Slim, an awkward but well-meaning teenager from the outskirts of Chestnut Ridge. At first sight, you probably assume from his orthodontic headgear that Patwin is a typical socially awkward geek, and while you may be right, there's more to him than meets the eye. Patwin adores his family and his culture. They have taught him the importance of community and perseverance, and all Patwin wants is to help them break the endless cycle of making ends meet in their tiny trailer. He dresses nicely to school to hide his family struggle, studies hard, and dumpster dives in the evening to find scraps that can be turned into something sellable. Unfortunately, none of this helps his reputation in school, so there are days where he goes by without a single conversation. When Patwin heard about Survivor, he jumped on the opportunity without hesitation. He needs the money to pay for college, and his parents deserve some relief from being overworked. He's got the brains, the scrappiness, and he's been surviving before Survivor came to town. His social skills may be an issue, but when he flashes that adorable little smile, how could you possibly vote this dork out? Dude, what's on your face? This is Rigoberto Granados, folks, a struggling musician who has been all over the globe. Rigoberto is a man who just can't seem to stay in one place. He either gets fired for breaking venue equipment with his sheer clumsiness, or has to make a run for it after some scandalous love troubles. Can't help that he's so good at sweet serenades. Despite living in rough conditions, having to bounce between abandoned buildings and open fields, Rigoberto has managed to maintain an optimistic and well-mannered attitude in life. Not even all this dirt can wipe the smile off this pretty face. Rigoberto still has dreams of carrying on his father's wish of becoming a world-famous musician, but he's grown to enjoy the adventure that is life in the meantime. Rigoberto found out about Survivor on a poster outside a bar one evening, and knew it was his chance to give himself an upper hand in his musical dreams. He's no stranger to roughing it out in the elements, and he has plenty of charisma to woo over his tribe mates. His athletic skills leave a lot to be desired, but hey, if all else fails, at least he can write a song about it.
This tough nut is Scabarella Fontaine, a pro wrestler from Del Sol Valley who has turned ridicule into a superpower. Growing up, Scabarella has been called an ugly duckling on more occasions than she could bother remembering. But she has never let the haters faze her, and used her newfound confidence to pursue a career as a pro wrestler. Her stage name Scabarella stems from her name Scarlet Bella, and boy was Scabarella a hit among the wrestling community. Her unconventional features gave her uniqueness, and her powerhouse physique gained her a large following from gym rats alike. With her newly found fame and fortune now deeply rooted in her head, Scabarella has grown to be arrogant and self-absorbed. She's convinced that she can win any reality competition based on her brute strength alone, so she signed up for Survivor to put that to the test. Scabarella does boast a strong skill set, but being a glutton, starvation is probably a more pressing issue when she's stranded in the desert world. Can she back up her bold statements, or is it all her delusion? Closing the cast is a creation of my own, Xiao Tian, the humanoid servo. Yes, he has a funky spelling, but I'm not the one to blame, okay? Xiao Tian is created by none other than Jing Fen, the robotics scientist we all love to hate. Created as a passion project to push the boundaries of robotics, Jing instead utilized this poor baby to clean his quarters and grade assignments that he's too lazy to do. Xiao Tian is programmed with the worst of Jing's traits, so he's rude, blunt, and hates children as much as Jing does. But after interacting with college students over time as a glorified teaching assistant, Xiao Tian began to learn kindness and empathy, and decided he will no longer be a slave to Jing's terrible attitude. Xiao Tian stumbled upon Survivor when he searched social experiment on the internet and found that it's the greatest social experiment for Simkind. Logically, Xiao Tian would benefit a lot from human interaction, so he sets his sights on Chestnut Ridge. It's going to take some time to unlearn the nasty habits implanted into his core, but Xiao Tian hopes that one day he too can belong and find companionship amongst the humans. He has a vast database of knowledge to offer, so long that his bluntness doesn't turn people off first.
Flows it.
And that's all of the Renegades! They're no strangers to the hustle, and they wear their underdog badge with pride. But how will they get along coming from different paths of defiance? Can they rise against their experienced counterparts? All of these questions and more will be answered when the game officially begins. From facing off in an opening reward challenge to the untamed wilderness of the Badlands, these castaways will be tested right off the bat. Which way of life will prove supreme? Find out in the season premiere of Survivor: Pioneers vs. Renegades. Thank you so much for watching this cast review, friendos! I am so happy that I finally get to unveil this amazing cast in full. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to tap that like button and check if you're subscribed so you don't miss an upload. Everybody is giving in this upcoming premiere, so I'll get back to putting that together while you take care and have a great week ahead. See you soon!